Maids, au pairs, gardeners, babysitters, and other domestic workers to the wealthy. What's the weirdest thing you've seen rich people do behind closed doors? Dog walker here. One of my clients only lets her dog drink smart water. Smart water, smart dog. My sister is a nanny for an NBA player and his wife. The wife called my sister at 9 p.m. to come to their house for an urgent matter. When my sister gets to their house, the wife tells her take the trash out. That's it. My sister drove an hour round trip to take out the trash. She has so many ridiculous stories about this family, but that one is my go-to. I hope they pay her commensurately. She made $50,000 a year plus full benefits. Not too shabby, but I'm still not making house calls for that. Gosh, where to start? The wife was driving through the home improvement part of the city and saw a sale on bathtubs. So she popped in and bought 3. As she was leaving, she saw another tub she liked and simply had to get that one too. She wasn't renovating a house at the time. They refused to throw away food. Used buy and best before dates are completely ignored, to the point where I found a tin of seafood marinara which was 15 years out of date. They have a holiday home in the South Pacific and have a housekeeper clean it 3 times a week, yet they only visit 3 to 4 times a year. When they're not visiting, no one lives there. When the family go out for dinner, the father will happily pay for the expensive meals but not the drinks. The kids, who are all teens or older, have to pay him back for the drinks, and he will send reminder messages about the amount. Yet when any of the kids offer to pay for the meal, he won't accept. The wife is a hoarder and will often take way more samples than any normal person. She always makes sure to take all the shampoo, soap, etc. from hotel rooms, and if she passes the housekeeping trolley, will grab as many as she can from there too. Yet she never uses them. They have a whole bathroom cupboard dedicated to samples. Sounds like recently becoming rich with a mix of growing up poor and hoarding tendencies. This is pretty much what happened with my dad. He grew up dirt poor and then became a doctor with 2 practices. We were extremely wealthy, but any time we went to a hotel or anything, he would take every sample and then ask for more. I believe him growing up poor is what caused him to develop such a horrible hoarding problem. I know a lady who's discreetly rich. One of those that unless you knew the more expensive but quiet brands, you wouldn't be able to place her. She would wear designer jewelry sets to the gym. Anyway, her quirk was she liked Costa coffee, so she'd get one day, drink half of it, let it cool, and then put the rest of it in the fridge, and reheat and drink the other half the next day. When she told us that she does this, and we asked her why, she laughed and said, "I'm just frugal." That's probably why she's so wealthy. $2 a day equals wealth. I nannied for a New York City power couple in 2014. Both were corporate lawyers for national banks. The husband owned more socks than I had ever seen at one time in my life. Drawers upon drawers of them, all navy blue, black, and gray. One can never have enough socks. I dated a very wealthy man. Nothing was out of reach for him, and he wasn't used to being told no for any reason. I broke up with him the day he pulled a gun out on his driver because the guy refuses to part with his beanie on a cold day. My ex wanted the beanie and could not understand why he could not just take it. Fucking weird dude. I used to be a live and nanny for the CEO of a major German investment bank in Berlin. They were a lovely couple with a sweet baby girl, and they made me feel like part of the family from day one. They paid me well, had a separate car for me, and weren't concerned by what I did in my spare time. They were very generous, lovely people. My only gripe is that they had strange eating habits. Some days they would have 3 enormous meals, and other days they would forget to eat all day. I was often too shy to say that I was hungry. Once when I was a nanny, I was house-sitting while the family was out of the country. The refrigerator in my apartment broke, so I packed up some perishables and brought them to the family's house to store them until the landlord could fix it. When I brought my groceries back to my place, I realized I had accidentally grabbed something that wasn't mine from the cheese drawer. It was a gallon Ziploc bag. Inside that was a smaller Ziploc bag. Inside that was a bundle of wax paper. Inside that was a bundle of plastic wrap. Inside that was another bundle of plastic wrap. Inside that was a bundle of tinfoil. 7 layers deep, I found an old lump of fruitcake. Could it have been a piece of their wedding cake they'd saved or something along those lines? Elaine, I have a question for you. Is the item still with you? I was a nanny for an affluent family. They had a beautiful home and nice vehicles, and the kids all had lots of toys and new clothes, but while doing laundry one day I had to take a load of mom's cloths out of the dryer, and every single pair of her panties had multiple holes in them. Not like no holes lol, but worn out, most tattered panties I've ever seen holes. Got curious and looked in her undergarment drawer, and this was par for the course, and not just period panties. She was like a major high up in a huge company, and her panties looked worse than I would imagine a homeless person wearing. My friend works for a tax lawyer for the obscenely wealthy. Their firm is one of those go-to places when you want to take advantage of tax havens. Think Panama, Luxembourg. He tells me one of their clients had an issue and called the people he always turns to for help. His lawyers. The problem? He bought a new jet and only just realized its entertainment system doesn't have a Blu-ray player. This was 5 years ago. Find someone that can fix it. Today, he had lawyers at 3 different firms searching for a solution that afternoon. All billed him for it, of course. I once assisted a country manager of a big MLM company. He wanted me to book him a rental car until he gets his own car. He got so stressed out that the rental car can't accommodate him. It was last minute. His place was less than 5 minutes away from his work, if you walk. MLMs almost always make a huge deal out of the luxury cars, usually the cheapest ones of the flashy brands you can find. Their top performers supposedly own, because that helps lure in the exact type of impulsive, insecure people they target. Didn't work for them, but went to school with their son. The daughter was 19 and had gotten married, so the couple decided to have a test child that was a small monkey. That was already pretty weird, but then I learned that they also had a previous monkey before that. It had been playing in the laundry while the maid was loading clothes in the washer. Poor thing died. Makes me wonder why they didn't call the test child thing off after the first one died. Test monkey round 1 failed. I was a nanny for a really wealthy family. Their public face was polished and put together. My second day on the job, I noticed that there were really intricate alarms and lock systems on each of the kids' bedroom doors. It turns out the dad was a registered sex offender. The alarm systems would turn on and lock the kids' doors at 9:30 p.m. The mom had to use a special code to open them if the kids needed her during the night. They turned out to be a really fucked up family. So I was only a nanny for a year. What the fuck? Why would you stay with someone you need to keep locked away from your children? Imagine having to explain that to the kids when they get older, why they had to grow up locked up. And the reason is, yep, money. Helped my mother-in-law, who was a maid once, with a very large mansion in NC. Beautiful house, amazing architecture. They traveled the world all the time. The kitchen had old appliances from the 70s. The wife's bathroom had a broken toilet seat that was duct taped together. The wife did not rewear her underwear. We were not to go in the basement. I peeked down there. There were clothes 3 foot deep in the basement, where she took off her clothes and just threw them down there. Thousands of pairs of underwear. Very weird people. Babysat a few times for a friend of my lawyer uncle. She was an insanely wealthy widow who lost her husband to a freak helicopter accident. She would sleep with her then 10-year-old son both naked in the same bed, and then would walk around the house the next morning in the buff. I understand them needing time to grieve and even occasionally sharing a bed. However, the whole naked thing threw me off, and I only did it a few weekends. The kid was great and loved me, but was a little too touchy and cuddly. No way I was going to be around his naked. It was a bit away from my house, and she would come home late, so I would sleep in their guest house. The most bizarre was this newly rich young family in Vienna. The bedtime routine for the kids, aged 3 and 7, included basically a spa treatment for both. I haven't seen that amount of products in a child's bathroom. They each had their own, in my life. The poor 7-year-old girl had next to no hair on her head, but I was required to slather her in the most expensive adult shampoo, conditioner, hair mask, hair oil, and some other things I didn't recognize every night. They only had one tiny box of toys, and time spent playing was set up for 30 minutes after they brushed their teeth. Dinner was normally a bland fish fillet and a ton of salad. Not a grain of sugar anywhere in the house. Hot cocoa was made with skim milk and pure high-quality cocoa, no sweetness to it whatsoever. It tasted awful. They had time to explain everything to me the first time I was there, and I received an inch-thick file with lists and procedures to follow. What they didn't mention was that the older girl was still wearing diapers at night. It made for a very awkward conversation with the child, and I only hope I was sensitive enough to not cause her any future trauma. Very, very weird. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.